Hello YouTubers, welcome back to ThoseYGOguys. I'm your host, Alessandro, and yeah, it's been a while since I last made a video. I do apologize for that. I've been doing quite a lot of stuff, traveling, spending time with family, and honestly, I also have pretty much difficulty to come up with a topic or video or so to discuss, and yeah, and new format has started. We've already experienced the first weekend of the new format of January 2014 format. Basically, all I'm gonna say is basically an open season. There's no really defined what's the best deck and so on and so forth, but that will all change because Legacy of Valiant, which is not too far off the corner, will be making a really big, huge impact onto the metagame. And to me, I feel like it probably create a similar impact like Lord of Tachyon Galaxy did. And this will be a very important set to really set our metagame according to how this pack will create an impact on certain archetypes. And we're probably going to see a rise of archetypes we are not currently seeing that is doing really humongous impact on the current metagame so far. So without further ado, let's get started with a personal favorite archetype that I have been playing. Well, actually got back into the advanced competitive Yu-Gi-Oh game is the archetype known as Gravekeepers. Gravekeeper has been a personal favorite of mine. I got back into competitive Yu-Gi-Oh with this archetype around late September 2010 format. It was actually immediately the initial pick for the March 2011 format, and for a lot of people who've been fussing about back rows and all that, like set 5 and all that, yeah, if you don't know much about March 2011 format, that is pretty much the true epitome of set 5 go, because that was truly that format. It's pretty much coming down to fortify your castle and try to see who outplays who. And of course, a lot of cards were in high numbers, and some of the cards that were currently banned right now were still allowed, such as Giant Trunade, Roll Oppression, Dimensional Prison was at 3, Mirror Force was at 1, Compulsory Evacuation Device was at 3, so on and so forth. Oh yeah, and there's also the Six Samurai format, what people used to call it as well, because even though Gateway is at 1, you got the legendary Six Samurai Shien at 3. So yeah, that was a very enjoyable format. But I have a really strong favorite towards Gravekeepers. Is a very unique controls anti-meta like build. Depending on how the metagame is gonna come, once Legacy of Valiant comes out, I can strongly see Gravekeepers becoming a really solid stun slash anti-meta deck for the upcoming the later parts of this format. So it's going to be really interesting, and we'll just have to wait and see how the metagame is going to develop. But I'm very excited to be back and playing this archetype once again. I still have the deck. Um, I've been keeping up to date with it, updating the deck constantly, but sadly I have not been paying attention to this deck that often and haven't been playing as much as I wish I should. But fortunately, with Heavy Storm being gone, new support coming out, this should, and of course now the game's kind of reset a bit. I'm much more motivated to be playing Gravekeepers once more. So I'll get started for the new support we're going to be getting in the Legacy of Valiant. Do keep in mind that I'm not including the TCG exclusive because as I'm looking in the calendar right now, it is January 10th, 2014. Basically, there was no news about the Gravekeeper's TCG exclusive, but we will be getting one, so do keep that in mind. So I'll be doing a video based on the OCG imports, a video on TCG exclusives, and so on and so forth. And of course, I'll probably put the sneak peek promo card along with the TCG exclusive. So, first up for the Gravekeeper's core set that we'll be getting is Gravekeeper's Disciple. Is a level 3 dark attribute spellcaster effect monster with 1000 attack, 1000 defense, and the effect stated: when this card is destroyed by battle with your opponent's attacking monster and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Gravekeeper's monster from your deck in face down defense position except Gravekeeper's Disciple. Overall, as you can immediately depict, once this card has been destroyed by your opponent's attacking monster by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can immediately grab Gravekeeper Spy and set it face down, so that way in later parts, once it comes back to your turn, you can flip up a Spy and do your shenanigan plays. But of course, the problem is that it relies on your opponent destroying Gravekeeper Disciple in battle, and of course that their monster has to be attacking. So it requires your opponent to do an action, and with destruction effects being prevalent and very heavily seen, you might not get this card's effect off as often as you might like. So personally, if you ask me, this is probably going to be a one-off if I'm going to run it. Most likely I will be running it. It'll be just a one-off. Probably 2 at the max. 3 is just overkill. But I think 1 is just a perfect number. Up next we have Gravekeeper's Ambusher. Is a dark attribute, level 4, spellcaster, effect monster, with 1700 attack, 0 defense. And the effect stated: when this card is flipped face up, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard, return that target to the bottom of the deck. If this card is sent to the graveyard after being flipped face up, you can target one Necro Valley card in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. This card's effect cannot be negated by Necro Valley. So, as you can immediately depict, finally we have, this is our first biggest beast stick we have as a non-tribute wise. With Necro Valley, he becomes 22, so he's pretty big. His effect is pretty interesting. The fact that it can disrupt your opponent's setup. Basically starting like chaos decks, but of course with Necro Valley that kind of doesn't matter. Light Swarms, because they need at least 4 different Light Swarms with different names in order to drop JD, and if you somehow prevented that, that's not too bad. And also the fact that if he's destroyed and sent to the graveyard, if he's sent to the graveyard after being flipped face up, you can target one Necro Valley card in your graveyard and add it to your hand. And it doesn't have to be a Necro Valley, the field spell. It could be other Necro Valleys, as you're going to see later on in the new spell and trap lineup. They're actually considered Necro Valley cards, so that's pretty cool. Personally, I'm probably not going to run it in the main deck, but it is a very interesting card worth mentioning. So yeah. Up next, we have Gravekeeper Shaman. It is a dark attribute, level 6, spellcaster, monster effect, with 1500 attack, 1500 defense, and its effect stated: this card gains 200 defense for each Gravekeeper's monster in your graveyard. Negate all monsters' effects activated in the graveyard, except Gravekeeper monsters' effects. While Necro Valley is on the field, your opponent cannot activate field spell cards. Also, field spell cards on the field cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So, in the past, I used to have I've been have the strong mentality of believing that running Gravekeepers, like high-level Gravekeeper monsters, not worth my time in the competitive scenes and all that, and yada 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 yada. But when I saw this card, I immediately become very fond of it because one, it solves one key factor, big weakness for Gravekeepers, and that's protecting Necro Valley. Gravekeepers are so reliant on Necro Valley. If they lose Necro Valley, it's a huge loss because one, Necro Valley slows down on decks that they're, really very fast and very aggressive, but of course they have to rely on the second hand, aka the graveyard, so much. And Necro Valley kind of tunes that down, the speed of that deck a bit, just to make it even pace with Gravekeepers. And on top of that, Shaman can negate monster effects in the graveyard that aren't Gravekeeper monsters. That's also good because that makes one of Gravekeeper's worst matchup, aka Dark Worlds, a more bearable matchup. Also, on top of that, we can also put in Mermaids as well because the Mermaids activate their effects in the graveyard. The Atlantean monster also activated in the graveyard, so on and so forth. And plus, you can special summon her through Gravekeeper Spy's effect, which is amazing. And I truly think I'm going to be running one of. This is definitely worth the spot, somewhere in your main deck or side deck. So do not pass on this card, because this card is very good, in my opinion. Up next, we have the new boss monster, Gravekeeper's Oracle, which is the level 10 Dark Attribute Spellcaster monster effect, 2000 attack, 1500 defense, and the effect stated, you can tribute 3 monsters or 1 Gravekeeper's monster to tribute summon this card. When this card is normal summon, you can apply a number of effects in sequence, up to the number of Gravekeeper's monsters that were attributed for this card's normal summon. First bullet, this card gains attack equal to the combined levels of the monsters tributed for this card's tribute summon had on the field times 100. Second bullet, destroy all set monster your opponent controls. Third bullet, all face-up monster your opponent currently controls lose 2000 attack and defense. Personally, I don't like this card. The effects are kind of eh. I think the best effect is the 2000 attack and defense reduction is probably by far the best. The destroys all set monster, that's very limited to certain decks such as Ghost Tricks. And of course, the attack gain, that's kind of irrelevant because if you're going to be protecting Necro Valley, if I want a high level monster and a beast stick, I would rather choose Visionary over this card, sadly enough. But if you want to add this to your collection, is there. So definitely don't expect me to play this card, and you're not going to see this card in competitive play that much. So that's my own food for thoughts on this card. Up next, we have the new spell and trap lineup. So first up, we have Hidden Temples of Necro Valley. It is a continuous spell card, and with the effect stated, activate only if both Necro Valley and a Gravekeeper's monster are on the field. Neither player can special summon monsters except Gravekeeper monsters. Destroy this card unless both Necro Valley and a Gravekeeper's monster are on the field. Now, personally, this card it's not bad. It's very unique. But unfortunately, there's a card that works very similar to this, and it's called Vanity's Emptiness. And of course, Vanity's Emptiness is more generic. Now, granted, Vanity's Emptiness does prevent special summon period, and it works very similar to how the Hidden Temples of Neck Valley. But the key factor about Vanity's Emptiness is it's a continuous track card, and you can use it as a surprise factor. Whereas you had to activate Hidden Temples of Neck Valley, and it has to be face up as well if you're going to apply the effects. And your opponent will have a subconscious feelings like, okay, there's a Hidden Temples of Neck Valley, I need to start blowing up stuff and stuff like that. So yeah. And also, the requirements for having a Neck Valley and a Gravekeeper monster, that doesn't mean you have to control them. Your opponent can also control, can have, like, if your opponent has Neck Valley and a Gravekeeper monster, you can activate this card as well. But, of course, that would be kind of pointless, because if your opponent's playing Gravekeepers, this card's not doing a whole lot against them. So, yeah. Personally, I would choose Vanity's Emptiness over Hidden Temples of Neck Valley. But if Vanity's Emptiness get hit on the ban list for some reason, then maybe we can see this card shine. But as of right now, not really much is going to be said for this card. And finally, the last card in the core set is a counter track card known as Imperial Tombs of Neck Valley. As you guys know, it is a counter track card, and with the effect stated, when a spell or trap card or monster effect is activated, if both Neck Valley and a Gravekeeper's monster are on the field, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. You can only activate one Imperial Tombs of Neck Valley per turn. So, as you guys can easily depict about this counter track card, yes, it works similar to Infernity Barrier. Personally, I think Imperial Tombs of Neck Valley is a bit more lenient than Infernity Barrier, because Infernity Barrier requires the card holder to have no cards in hand and maintaining an Infernity monster in attack mode, which, if you have a strong knowledge of Infernity monsters, majority of them are not that big. They're very, very tiny. So, this card is probably, it's a lot better. But unfortunately, whereas Infernity Barrier, you can activate multiple copies per turn, whereas this one, you can only activate once per turn. And like I said, it doesn't require you to have both Neck Valley and a Gravekeeper monster on your side of the field. It can be also your opponent's side of the field. And do keep in mind, this can also be a double-edged sword. So if Gravekeeper becomes a big, huge metagame thing, this is kind of a good side deck card against Gravekeepers. Just Gravekeepers in general. And yeah, it's just not pleasant. So do keep that in mind. Also, here's an interesting food for thought. If you know a monster card known as Gravekeeper's Priestess, she's a monster card that acts both as a Gravekeeper monster, and she can also act as a Neck Valley as well. And if you have her on the field, she's pretty much a 2-for-1 for requirement. So if you just have Gravekeeper's Priestess face up on the field, and that's it, you can activate Shrine. Not Shrine. I'm thinking about a Japanese name. Hidden Temples of Neck Valley and Imperial Tombs of Neck Valley without having the field spell Neck Valley, because she's pretty much a 2-for-1. So that is an interesting food for thought. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say about Gravekeepers in Legacy of Valiant. I am super excited for playing The new support that is definitely high on my watch list to get on the upcoming Legacy of Valiant. Yes, Legacy of Valiant, the sneak peek will be on January 18th, 2014, and the official release into stores set will be on January 24th, 2014. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a feature, lots of videos that's going to be regarding to what's going to be in Legacy of Valiant. If you want me to talk about a certain archetype or group or series of cards, please comment down below. Make sure you have a Google Plus account so that way I can see it. And if not, either A, set up a Google Plus account, or B, you can send me an email to ThoseYGOguys@gmail.com. Keep in mind, ThoseYGOguys part will be all lowercase. And yeah, so give me your food for thought, what you guys think, and what you guys would like to see in future videos. Also, before I let you go, thank you for supporting ThoseYGOguys. It means a lot to me. Thank you to my friends for supporting this channel, especially Codex 100. Thank you so much for supporting this channel as well. So it means a lot, and I hope this channel will keep on going good as new. So thank you once again, and hopefully we'll start off the New Year's with a bang. So thank you, and I'll see you guys later. So take care, everyone. Bye bye.